This presentation is a social science presentation for geography, grade 8. Welcome to the discussion. We are going to go through a discussion on geography for grade 8, which is centered on the November examination topics. So we are going to go through this sample paper that we are having. As usual, you understand at the end of the year, there is going to be an examination which is out of 75 marks, which basically focuses on term 3 content and also term 4 content. So our focus areas, remember in term 3, your focus area is settlement with a focus on South Africa and Africa at large. Then with term 4 focus, it's focused on transport and trade. Those are your areas of specialization for the final examination for social sciences, geography for grade 8. So we're going to go through the questions and also try to figure out and elaborate on some aspects. Right. We go through the first part is saying, match column A and column B. Choose the correct statement in column B to match the keyword in column A. Write only the correct letter. For example, 118 is K in column C. Right, so we are giving our responses in column C to match the description which is given. Given in column B, we have to match with an item in column A. Right, our first question is saying primary activity. What are primary activities? Primary activity, if we check on our responses, primary activity, it matches with response C. What is response C saying? Primary, it matches with response C. An activity involved in farming, forestry, fishing, or mining. Those are primary activities. We are looking at activities involving nature or the extraction of nature or raw materials. Those are primary activities. So farming, forestry, fishing, and mining are examples of primary activities. Then multifunctional. Multi, it means many. So which one has got multi-function or which one is multifunctional description? So the correct response for multifunctional is H, which says having more than one or many functions. Remember, multi means many. So multifunctional means it has many, more than one or many functions, which is H. Right, the next question is saying heavy industries. Remember, our industries are classified into heavy and light industries. What are heavy industries? Your heavy industries, they coincide with response E, which says industries where the raw materials and the finished product have large volume. For example, steelworks. Those are typical activities that are involved in heavy industrial activities. Right. Inhospitable, it matches with which response? Inhospitable. Right, it matches with the response, that is question 114. It matches with the response that is J. Inhospitable matches with the response J. What does response J say? It says an environment that is harsh or difficult to live. Those are places which are harsh. For example, the desert areas. They are arid, they are very dry. Water is a scarce resource. They are inhospitable. It's an environment that is harsh or is difficult to live in. Then sanitation, which response matches with sanitation? It matches with the response A, which says sewage and garbage collection and disposal, that is sanitation. Then we have migrant. Who is a migrant? Or migrant response matches with what? Migrant, it matches with the response F, which says somebody who moves from one place to another. That is a migrant. Somebody who moves from one place to another. Then lastly, we have industrial zone. What is an industrial zone? Right, figuring out, when you're looking at zones, we are looking at, remember, let me just check you briefly. When you are looking at land use zones, we are referring to a specific area with a dominant function or activity / or activity. For example, our land use zones, we have a land use zone which we call the CBD, which means there are some activities which are dominant in this particular zone. Then we have the industrial zone. Industrial, it means this is a zone, or this is a land use zone which is dominated by manufacturing activities. Is dominated by manufacturing activities. And these manufacturing activities, we split them into two. The industrial zone is split into heavy industries, and also it has light industries. So in this sense, we are talking of an industrial zone. We are saying this is a special area within an urban settlement that is assigned for manufacturing activities. And these manufacturing activities, they come in the form of either heavy industrial activities, or it comes in the form of light industrial activities. We can give examples of heavy industrial activities. These ones, they are those activities that involve the usage of bulky raw materials, and also they use considerably large pieces of land, and they cause high levels of pollution in the form of noise, air, and also other forms of pollution like lead pollution. For example, steelwork, or can talk of activities like oil refinery. These are typical examples of heavy industrial activities. Then light industrial activities, they do not take much space, and they do not cause high levels of pollution. For example, furniture manufacturing. Furniture manufacturing, or you can talk of clothes and shoes manufacturing. Those are light industrial activities. That was just taking you through land zones. Then also, when you're talking of land use zones, we also have residential land use zone. And we said our residential land use zones is a zone for the residents of the urban area, which means people staying in the urban areas, they have got places to stay. And our residential areas are classified according to the level of income. We have low income residential areas. Then we have middle income residential areas. And then we have high income residential areas. And also we have informal settlements. Right, that besides the point, that is just a picture towards land use zones. Start the diagram below and answer the questions that follow. Right, this is an illustration of a plan of an urban area. What does the acronym CBD stand for? CBD stands for Central Business District. That's the CBD, Central Business District. List 4 functions found in the CBD. The core part of the urban area, the commercial part of the urban area, what do we find there? We can talk of offices. That is where we find offices, different offices that we have, administrative offices. We find them in the CBD. We can also find financial institutions. For example, we find banks in the CBD. We also find other things like cinemas. We find them in the CBD. We can also find some clubs and also some bars. They are found in the CBD. We can find theaters. We can also find supermarkets. And also we can find insurance companies. Right. All commercial functions, all business functions, they are located. Commercial functions are located in the CBD. You can find a variety of commercial functions in the CBD. So any of those, they can be found in the CBD. Then the next question is saying, which industrial zone is located at B? Give a reason for your answer. Let's look at B. Right, we are seeing our illustration. There's a power station here. Which industrial activity? Already we know that our industrial activities are classified into two, heavy and light industry. We are looking at power station here. A power station deals with bulky raw materials. It's a thermal power station deals with large volumes of coal as a raw material, and it causes large volumes of pollution. Like if you are seeing here, it's indicating the smoke which is being emitted into the atmosphere. So this is heavy. It's a heavy industrial activity. And what's the justification? Give a reason why we are saying it's heavy. One reason that we have highlighted, we are seeing the pollution there. The reason, pollution in the form of air is indicated. Because remember, we said heavy industries, they cause large volumes of pollution. So pollution is indicated on the illustration. Then also let's look at its location in relation to residential areas. Right. Heavy industrial activities, they are incompatible with high income residential areas. High income area is here and the power station is far away. So it's away from, it's located far away from high income residential area. That's the other justification. And also remember, we said heavy industrial activities, they consume large space and they also need to be linked with transport networks. So the other justification is transport is close to transport links. If you can see here, there are some transport links. So it's nearer to transport links. It's another justification because remember, it's due to the bulk raw materials, they need to be close to a reliable transport link. So transport links are nearby. And also, we can look at the space for expansion of the activity. Remember, these activities, they need large space and also they might need to expand. So if you check here, this whole area is unoccupied, which means this power station, if there's need to expand, it can expand going further to the north. Right. No recreation is indicated on the map. Suggest two types of recreation facilities for the residents of this settlement. Recreational activities. We are saying there is no recreation which is indicated on the map. I think you understand what we mean by recreation. We are looking at recreation. We are looking at activities done for leisure. What you do on your spare time, what you prefer doing on your spare time, those are recreational activities. What you do for leisure purposes. Right. So what activities can be added there? We can have parks. People can go and enjoy their leisure time in a park. Or we can also have cinemas as recreational activities. Or we can also have theaters. And for those who like shopping, you can also add for them a shopping mall. Remember, shopping is also a recreational activity for some people, though it's a requirement for basic survival. Right. So those are some of the things that can be added such that the area has got some recreational activity. The town has received an application for the erection of a shopping center. Which location will be the best for the shopping center? At W or at Z? Give a reason for your answer. You want to analyze place W or Z? W here or Z? Where should we locate a shopping center? The question is saying it's as an application for a shopping center. So between W and Z, which one is more convenient for the location of a shopping center? Right. For the very same reason, we can say it must be located at W. That is where it is convenient to locate a shopping center. What is the justification here? At W, if you check, W is close to high income residential area. Unlike here, there is a cement factory and there is some industries on the other side. So who is going to support the activities at this shopping center if it's located here? Is inconvenience to the potential customers. And for the other reason, you can see there is a crossroads here, which is also convenient. People can link from this direction. People can link from this direction and also from this direction and also from this direction, which means it's more convenient because it is close to transport routes. And also the shopping mall, if it's located here, it means it's further away from industrial activities, which can cause pollution or which is a health hazard to potential people who are going to support the activities at this particular mall. So we are justifying that we choose area W for the reason that it's close to residential areas. People can easily access because it's closer to residential areas. Remember, we establish a shopping mall for the sake of people to buy. So if you locate away from the people, it's an inconvenience again. And also, we can talk of it's close to transport routes. And also, it's far away from industrial activities that might cause an environmental harm. Right. Start Fig 2.2 on the next page and answer the questions that follow. Right, this is our Fig. We're going to use this to answer our questions. Right. The first question is saying, name the type of photograph in Fig 2.2. What type of photograph is that one? Right. Our photograph that is indicated here. Right. If you are seeing this place here, you can see that it was taken from above and it was taken from a perpendicular angle because you can only see the top part of the features indicated, like these buildings. We can only see the roofs, we're not seeing the sides of the buildings. So this is a vertical aerial photograph. Vertical aerial photograph. It's a vertical aerial photograph. Identify land use at the landmarks A to E. Right. We want to identify land use at A. Where is A? We are seeing our A here. What kind of land use is that one? What is the main activity that you can see? These are houses. So automatically it means A is residential, because we can see that all these are houses. So it's a residential area. And also if we check at B, our B is also indicating here, this area. That is also residential. Those are houses. It's a residential area. Then C, if you check C here, this is most likely to be a stadium So a stadium is for the sake of recreation. This is a recreational. It's for recreation zone. Then let's check D. D here, we are seeing that this is the sea, and D is on the coast here. So this is basically a harbor. B, D is a harbor. Then E. Where do you find E? This seems to be an industry. It's an industrial area. So E is for industry. So that's the idea behind those ones. Then let's check the next question. It's saying determine the type of residential areas marked F and G, respectively. Those residential areas are different. We want to identify F, and also we want to identify G. At F, this is F. And where is G? G is here. Right. What did we say about land use zones? We say we classify them according to the level of income. So where we see people having low incomes, we usually find that the people will be staying in a place that is having mainly some deplorable living conditions. There's poor infrastructure, the nature of the buildings, also you check. So if you check at F there, we can actually see that around area F, there is evidence of the buildings being close to each other, and also the street plan is not well. And if you check at G, you can see that this is a more organized area, and it shows that there is space. So this is most likely to be a high residential income area, and also this seems to be a lower income area. So having our letters F and G. So F is most likely that we have a low income area. This area here is a low income residential for the sake of the nature of the buildings that you can see there. And also if you check at G, this is likely to be a high income area. Right. Predict whether landmark C on Fig 2.2 would act as a pull or push factor for urbanization. Landmark C, let's identify C. Right, where is C? Our C is here. This is a recreational facility. A recreational facility, is it a pull or a push factor? Remember, when you are classifying these factors, we say a push is a negative, and then a pull is a positive. Negative is drives people away, and a pull, it attracts people to a certain place. So recreation is a pull factor. People who want to go and stay in areas where there are recreational facilities. So it's a pull factor. Push factors examples, you can talk of aspects like unemployment, poor infrastructure, things like social unrest. Those are push factors, they are negatives, but pull factors, they are positives. Right. We are going to analyze question 2.3. Quarter of households in Gauteng in former settlements do not get planned upgrades 2019-2020. Right. It talks about all those ones. You cannot go through the text. It's too long a text. Right. We just want to try and figure out how best we can answer the questions. From the extract, name the 3 major municipalities of Gauteng and rank them in decreasing order of percentages of residents living in informal settlements. Quote figures from the article. Right, if we must see there, the question is saying we must rank them in decreasing order, which means you are starting with the one with the highest, then with the middle, and the one with the lowest. Right, that is decreasing order. So it's saying 25% of Gauteng, 25% households in Gauteng informal settlements earmarked to be upgraded in 2019-20 were not upgraded. Right. The report said the percentage of households living in informal dwellings stood at 18.4 for Ekurhuleni, 19.1 for Johannesburg, and 16.4 for Tshwane. So these are our three municipalities. So we need to rank them in decreasing order. We're talking of decreasing order. We're saying we start with the one with the highest. So the one with the highest, it means is Joburg. Johannesburg municipality is the one, and it has 19.1% of the informal people in informal settlements. We are seeing it here. Then which one comes next is the one with 18.4, which is Ekurhuleni. Ekurhuleni with a percentage, Ekurhuleni municipality with a percentage of 18.4%. Then lastly, we have the Tshwane municipality that has got 16.4. Remember, if your question is saying you must put them in decreasing order, it means you must also check on the order according to the figures quoted. Give 3 reasons why people live in informal settlements rather than informal housing. Why do people prefer to live in informal settlements? Right, the one and obvious reason is that it is cheap. The rentals there in informal settlements are cheaper. And what's the other reason? No rates and taxes are to be paid there. Talk of aspects like people being unemployed. They don't have a source of income, hence they cannot afford decent housing. Talk of things like poverty. It's a driving factor for people to stay in the informal settlements because they are poor, they can't afford decent housing, and also because of housing shortages can be a reason of people to stay in the informal settlements. And some of the informal settlements, they are located closer to work. For that reason, people tend to stay in those areas because some of them are closer to the CBDs where people work. Right. So basically, those are some of the ideas that you can use to justify why there are people in informal settlements. Choose the correct term from the block below that fits with the definition. Write only the correct term next to the question number. Right. Products. It says products that are bought from other countries. What we buy from other countries is what we import. Those are imports. The opposite is exports. What we sell to other countries is an export. Somebody who regularly travels some distance between home and work. That one is a commuter. A person who travels some distance between home and work is a commuter. A gift or grant of money from a government to a private company or organization. That is a subsidy. Determine whether the following statements are true or false. Many cities have parts of their central areas where no cars are allowed. Many cities have their central parts where no cars are allowed. Is that true or false? That is true. As they try to avoid the problem of traffic congestion, they disallow private cars. People must use public buses to get into the CBD. The BRT stands for Bus Rapid Transformation. Is it for Bus Rapid Transformation? That is false. Rail transport is the ideal way to perform door-to-door deliveries. Can we do door-to-door using a train? That is not possible. Transport of large quantities of goods by air are inexpensive. We understand that air transport is expensive. That is why the majority of us cannot afford to use it. Then taxis are the most popular mode of transport in urban areas in South Africa. That is very true. Right. So that is question number 3.2.5. We move on to question 4. Right. Question 4 is saying, it's giving us an illustration or an indication of some different modes of transport as indicated there. We have A, B, transport C, D, and also have E, and we have F. Right. Distinguish between the types of transport being used in Fig 4.1 for the image is marked A to F. Distinguish the types of transport being used. Right, what kind of transport is this one? We understand that this is a cargo ship. So the type of transport that we have here, this is water or sea transport. As a form of transport, that is water or sea transport. Then B, these are what we call the camels. What kind of transport is this? This is a form of natural. Remember, camels are living things. They are not man-made. They are natural. So it's a natural form of transportation. Camels, donkeys, and horses, those are typical natural forms of transport. Or to be specific, this is called a camel caravan. Those who still remember in grade 7, there is a section where you did the transatlantic trade, where people used to use the camel caravan to sail across the desert, the Sahara Desert, the Trans-Sahara trade. People used to transport goods for trade purposes on the camels, which used to travel in a linear format as indicated here, what we call the camel caravan. Then moving on to C, what kind of transport is C? You can see that this is a helicopter. This is an example of air transport. Then this one, you can see that this is a truck. This uses the road. It's a road transport. Then what this kind here at E, you can see that this is a pipeline. So it's pipeline transport. Then our last one, you can see that that is a train. So a train is a typical example of a rail transport. So those are our transports according to the images from A to image F. Right. Next question is saying, you are the owner of a local business in Johannesburg and need to send an order of 60,000 t-shirts to a client in London, UK. That needs to be received in 6 months from now. Determine and explain the type of transport you would use. In that scenario, what are you going to use? You want to transport 60,000 t-shirts. You are in Joburg and they need to go to London. So what you can do here, You can start by using railway. From Joburg, you are located in Joburg to Durban. That is step number 1. Then step number 2, when you're in Durban, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to use sea transport. From Durban to London. What is the justification of you choosing railway and sea? The justification is it is cheap. Rail transport is cheaper. Then also the justification of you using sea is also that it's cheap. Then, what's the other justification here? You are told that the goods are to be received in 6 months. So which means there is enough time, or there's a long period. Because the things, the t-shirts are needed in next 6 months, which means you use sea transport, they will be there even if the ship takes 2 months to get there, but still you'll be on time. So for the sake of the cost, you cannot opt to use air transport because it's expensive. For the 60,000 t-shirts, it is going to be expensive for you to use air transport. So it's much convenient to use railway to Joburg. You can also not use road because it's also relatively expensive for you to use road to transport to Durban. So use rail from Joburg to Durban. It's cheaper. Then you use sea from Durban to London, which is also cheap. And also for the sake of time, you have enough time. There's no emergency there. Right, we move on to the next question. Start Fig 4.2. Answer the questions. It's a map of South Africa specifically. Identify the road numbers that connect Johannesburg and Durban. Johannesburg, where is it? We understand that Johannesburg is here. And where is Durban? We are seeing that Durban is on the coastal eastern side. Which road connects is N3. So for Joburg and Durban, they are connected by the national road number 3. Pretoria, Rustenburg to Pretoria. You check again on the map. Where is Rustenburg? Rustenburg is in the northern part, which is here. And your Pretoria is here. This road, you can see it proceeds from Pretoria, Rustenburg, going into Botswana, which is the national road 4. So they are linked by Rustenburg and Pretoria. They are connected by the N4. Messina and Cape Town. We understand Messina is on the extreme north, and then Cape Town is on the extreme southwestern. Which road connects is the N1. We are seeing the N1 stretching from Cape Town, getting into Beaufort West, getting all along in Colesberg, going into Bloemfontein, getting into Kroonstad, getting into Joburg, into Polokwane, then finally at Beitbridge and crosses to Zimbabwe. So that's the N1. Right. Cape Town and Richards Bay. Cape Town and Richards Bay. We check where Richards Bay is in Cape Town. We say that these two places, Richards Bay and Cape Town, right. We are seeing that they are connected by the national road number 2, and 2 is the one that connects the two places. So it's N2. Springbok and Pretoria. Pretoria is there. Springbok in Pretoria. They are connected by the N14. National Road number 14. Right. We move on to the next question. Next question is saying, complete the sentences by filling the missing words. Write only the question number and your answer. Right. The first part is saying, a country buys all dash goods that it needs from other dash. It also dash products to other dash. So to complete this statement, it says a country buys what we buy, we import. A country buys import goods that it needs from other countries. It also exports products to other countries. That is how we complete that statement. The next question is a question based on a text. This text is based, it's a case study. We are going to go through the case study quickly, and then we are going to figure out how best we can use the case study to answer the questions. Right, our case study is saying, in the future, transport networks will need to be changed in order to serve the public of South Africa better. Right. Railways are slow, and the congestion on the roads of South Africa are hindering traffic. Pedestrians make use of either public transport or their own transport in South Africa. To assist in solving problems like cost, congestions on South African roads, and pollution, public transit strategies have been implemented. For example, the BRT and subsidies for the How train. The BRT includes Rea Vaya in Joburg and the My City in Cape Town, and were introduced in 2010 for the FIFA World Cup as a comfortable and low-cost urban transport system. Then the first question is saying, besides BRT, recognize 3 other possible public transport strategies that have been implemented in South Africa. Besides the ones that have been mentioned, what others have been indicated, right? So for us to be able to figure out, besides those ones, what else has been implemented in a way to try and reduce the issue of transport, right? We can talk of bus and bicycle lanes. The bicycle lanes have also been introduced as a way to ease congestion. Then we also have the park and ride. It's also another strategy that has been put in place to try and lessen the burden on congestion in urban centers. Then we also have the car-free zones. Those are typical strategies that have been put in place. Besides the BRT, we also have those strategies that have been put in place to try and ease the problems that we are facing with the issue of congestion in urban centers. Right. Then the next one is saying, making use of roads in South Africa, holds advantages and disadvantages. Write a paragraph and discuss advantages and disadvantages of using road transport. What are the advantages and disadvantages of using road transport? Right, I'm going to start this with advantages. Remember, you are supposed to write in a paragraph, but however, for the sake of the discussion, I'm just going to highlight on the points. Advantages. Road transport is convenient. Convenient, what are we saying? It is easy to access either from the place where you stay, and it is easy to let you get to where exactly you want to go, because road network is more interlinked than compared to railway line. We only have one rail line passing through a place, but roads, we have many of them interlinking different areas. So it's convenient for that sake. Then we can also look at flexibility. It's flexible compared to other forms of transport like air. With air transport, if you miss the plane, you have missed it. You'll get the next flight. If you miss a flight, it is gone. With rail, it's also not very flexible because it has fixed times. You cannot have a train all the time. It has fixed times. So with road, it's more flexible. You can travel at any point in time or according to your needs. So it's flexible in that sense. And also, we can talk of road transport being convenient for the sake of fast delivery. For the sake of its convenience, it means it is also faster in terms of delivery. You get exactly to where you want to go, or as close as is possible to where you want to link to. So it gives us the advantage of fast delivery. And then the other advantage you can also say is ideal or it's more suitable for short distances. If you want to go over short distances, it's more convenient to use the road. It has the advantage that it can link you over shorter distances. Then also, the other advantage you can also say is ideal for transportation of perishables. For example, fruit and vegetables. You can easily transport those products because we now have advancements in road transport. We now have refrigerated containers. Those ones can be ideal for the transportation of perishables. We can effectively transport products that go bad easily using the road. So it's an advantage of the road transport in that dimension. And also, if you look at the cost, it's relatively cheaper. Road transport is relatively cheaper if you compare it to air transport. It's relatively cheaper. It's comparably cheaper in that dimension. So it's also a cost cutting mode of transport. Right, those are some of the advantages of road transport. And besides that, there are other factors that you can highlight, which are also relevant that you can use in the argument in support of road transport. Then we need also to look at the disadvantages. What disadvantages are posed by road transport? Right. It pollutes the environment. The fact that it uses fuel in the form of fossil fuels like diesel and petrol, it also means that it contributes to pollution. So road transport has got a disadvantage on the environment by the fact that it contributes towards the pollution of the environment through emissions from the vehicles, the buses. They emit pollutants into the atmosphere, which cause environmental harm. And also, we can look at the other disadvantage of traffic jams. We usually have a typical problem of traffic jams on the roads. which is going to cause delays, and also which is going to increase the cost of fuel for the transport owners. So basically, that is a disadvantage when you have traffic jam situations. Maybe you are having some non-functioning traffic lights. Then there's a traffic jam that causes delays. So it's a disadvantage that traffic jams are most prevalent, especially during the peak hour. You can have the problem of traffic jams, or you can have the typical problem of traffic congestion itself. Traffic congestion, having too many vehicles on the road at a particular time, it causes delays. We have to wait for long because of the volume of traffic on the roads. So it's a disadvantage if you are, for example, going for something which is urgent. You will end up being late for the sake of the delays that happen on the road because of traffic congestion. Then you can also look at the potential delays. You are delayed because of those instances on the road. If you are using air, there is no delay. Once you fly, you are flying, and you will know well that you are going to land at a particular place at a given particular time. No delays, nothing. So it has potential delay issues. Then the other factor that we can highlight, we can also say it's less safe. A risk of road accidents. Road transport is less safe compared to other forms of transport. Rail transport is regarded more safer compared to road. We have heard of very few instances of train accidents or very few instances of plane accidents. They are much safer compared to the road. The road is more risky in terms of the level of accidents. So it's less safe because there's high risk of accidents that can happen. Then you can also look at high fuel costs. The fact that fuel costs are getting higher, it will also imply that the cost of road transport will also be increasing because that is the major input towards the road transport. They rely on fuel supply. So if the fuel price is going up, then it also implies that it gives rise to the cost of using the mode of transport. And then that becomes a typical problem. Like with the issue of fuel prices, we are seeing that whenever fuel prices increase, we see also a compensatory increase in the prices of the fares that we pay for road transport. For that sake, it means it's a disadvantage to the end user because if fuel prices go up, then it implies that you also have to pay more for the usage of that form of transport. So for that factor, it means it's a disadvantage on the side of the user. And then we can also talk of other disadvantage like the maintenance cost. The maintenance cost also is high for road transport. Maintaining the roads is a high cost and it must be done on a regular basis. If those roads are unmaintained, then it means it becomes a problem on the side of the safety of the commuters. If we travel on roads which are not well maintained, which are not well kept, then it means we are also increasing the risk of us getting involved in road accidents. So it's also costly to use road transport, mainly for the road authority. They incur in relatively high costs to maintain the roads and also to maintain, for example, traffic lights to ensure that they are fully functional and they facilitate efficient flow of traffic. So those are some of the reasons that you can highlight as the advantages and the disadvantages of road transport. Right, so basically that takes us to the end of our paper, of 75 marks. So the idea behind is that you must be well versed with the concept of settlement in relation to South African settlement patterns and also the African settlement. That is your focus area from term 3 content. You must focus on settlement, be able to understand the rural settlements and the activities, also be able to figure out urban settlements, and also be able to figure out the different land use zones that we have in urban areas, and also be familiar with aspects of urban settlements in relation to rural settlements, where we look at the push and the pull factors. And then we must also be familiar with the concept of urbanization, the reason of increasing numbers in urban areas, the issue of rural-urban migration. What are the push and the pull factors? Then you are done with settlement. With that being said and done, then you move on to transport and trade, where you look at the different modes of transports. You have to figure out their advantages and their disadvantages, and situations where they are relevant. Where must we use this mode of transport, and why must we adopt that mode of transport? Then we also factor out the issue of trade, reasons for trade, and factor out all those factors of importation and exportation. Then you look also at transport-related issues. Right, I think that is the basic scope of the content that you must be familiar with for you to be fully prepared for the social sciences geography paper for end of year examinations. So with that being said and done, we can, at this point in moment, we can safely conclude that we have come to the end of our discussion. Thank you for watching. We'll meet in other programs to follow.